Yes. So the structure function module in the Sydney School of Veterinary Science is a bit of a project of mine that I started in the grad cert in the last 2 years. And I've been teaching into veterinary science for quite some time, but the DVM1's, the first year of the curriculum, is quite a special one for me. It takes a lot of pedagogy, and the structure function module I'm talking about now is sort of a design that is, went through many iterations, but I would like to explain to you how I'm, um, yeah, worked on the challenges we specifically faced in the first year. First of all, I would like to recognize and pay my respect to the elders and communities, past, present, and emerging, of the lands that the University of Sydney campuses stand on. The DVM1, the Doctor of Veterinary Medicine curriculum, is a postgraduate degree on our campus, and our students come from all over the world. Most of you might teach into a first-year cohort, and probably most of the challenges I'm talking about. A postgraduate degree, again, it's quite a challenging step up from an undergrad level, usually because of the intense academic pressures the students face. We have probably at least 8 hours of sessions every single day, 5 days a week, okay? And the teaching methods are often still quite passive and quite traditional in form of many, many lectures. So it's not unusual for a student to go through 4 to 6 lectures a day in the program. So it is quite a thing that has established over the last hundreds of years, but we know currently we go through better processes that I will explain. And also knowing the students come from a different background, most of them are bachelors or masters of some science degree. They could come from America, from Europe, from Asian background, and some of us, probably 50%, are from Australia. So what it means for us, they all have different foundational knowledge coming in. And understanding with the pressures and the traditional teaching methods, the problems I faced in DVM1 are an absolute cognitive overload most days and inefficient learning outcomes. So retention was very, very poor. I'm also teaching into DVM2, and most of the students coming into second year did not know what we were talking about in first year. And I can see you nodding your heads. That is quite a common problem. But what I was doing through my grad cert, consistently just finding strategies that will literally combat all those problems. And I sort of, at the end, came to the conclusion, all right, there are really just 3 things I should focus on. The cognitive overload is a problem of too much detail throughout every single lecture that they have. And I need to step back and say, what do they really need to take out of that? And I want to focus way more on concepts, on threshold concepts, to allow students to step into a deeper learning process and obviously reduce a rote learning. And that was a very, very effective strategy. Right from the first semester where I started really just focusing around concepts, they very much appreciated that we simplify complex materials and give them access a bit more smoothly in form of threshold concepts. And a threshold concept here is usually structure-function relationship. In histological terms, because I'm teaching histology and physiology, we also call it tissue architecture. What is the architecture of tissues supposed to look like to do a certain function? And then we understood our students come in with different background levels. So they have very different needs. They have different levels. And we need to give them access to materials in many different ways. And they did definitely appreciate diverse approach. I used the UDL approach most of all. And students love the free and open learning environment. felt very comfortable and developed their ways of effective learning. And thirdly, to step away from the very passive learning methods, the active learning approach was very, very important. And so students should become way more involved than they used to. We reduced lectures and included way more practical hours. And again, students very much said they were always, sorry, what's this? They provided support of our learning and always as part of activities. So these three things were key in making a transformation in our teaching design. And then also, obviously, the sequence of events was very important. Students usually come to our lectures not fully unaware of what's going to happen, but they were able to have a little bit of pre-work to just find what is it all about, what am I going to learn, and then their attention span in the lectures has definitely increased, I found. Okay, a lecture of 50 minutes can be fairly long if it's a heavy content. So pre-work gives them probably a chance to pay attention much longer. After the lectures, which focuses again on general concepts, students will engage in microscopy or other practical activities, where they also probably would or test their knowledge at the end before they go into assessments. The problem we had a lot of assessments and students were very, very scared because of the pressure they faced. Assessments was a very stressful period of the semester. And giving them access to assessments practices, form of examples, was very helpful. And students would say with that approach that histology portion is my absolute favorite today. I think it's mainly because I felt I actually understood what I was learning and why. And they enjoyed the structures from lectures, pre-labs, and then applying once again in the lab. So this is an unusual schedule. You can see on the left side, there are all the organ systems we have to discuss within a very short time from February to May, just a couple of months. We have an immense schedule, talking through all the different organ systems, starting with a lecture or pre-work and then a lecture. The lecture used to be two different topics, one for histology and one for physiology. I have combined these two topics into one. As I said, the structure function and the integration itself has already made a huge difference. So they would have 2 hours of lectures, but then accompanied by microscopy and activities to slowly build their actual cognitive skills. When they come at this early few weeks in the semester, they really lack the vocabulary. They don't know how to talk the medical language. And I'm allowing for that because we start not by writing massive reports. We do start by drawing or playing around with Play-Doh. And what it does, it really helps them to understand spatial arrangement of tissues. And they do not have to use many words, but they start by just labeling on easy, simple explanations. So they start recognizing and understanding tissue structure function without using many words. But then slowly, we go into more sophisticated methods and report writing in simple ways, in simple terms, building terminology slowly, still understanding the tissue structure and function relationships, but we can now articulate what we are seeing. Further on, we become a bit more creative. We can actually now invent fantastic tissue functions. So we can, in a way, invent a new creature, one that can spy fire, or a rabbit that can, yes, produce some Cocoa Pops. And the students are allowed to now create a structure that's also called tissue engineering that would allow a fantastic function. Oops. And So that design is not just fun and provides them a bit of joy in the classroom, but it allows them to actually think again a step higher in their cognitive skills. And it's very, very much appreciated to step away from being too serious sometimes. And at the end, when we arrive at the last module, we know the next thing that's going to happen semester 2 is we talk about pathology. So we're slowly trying to impair normal structure, and we will predict how that would affect the normal function of the tissues. So, and throughout these few months, I can see students growing, but also confidently growing. Okay, they do not get overwhelmed straight away with a lot of expectations to go high on the Bloom's taxonomy list, but now they can warm up, develop as slowly as they have to, okay, knowing they're not all at the same level. But at the end, they know they will be able to achieve this pretty much the same wherever they come from. So, and how did I do all these activities? Biggest issue I had. How am I going to now translate my strategies into an effective way of teaching? And what I found, there was a software, an online platform of learning called LT, or formerly known as CuraCloud. Some of you might have used that in COVID times. And that is the one platform that really made the difference. I could effectively build the scaffolding activities. I could use multimedia. It's a very flexible platform that allows a lot of changes that I can make to adjust to what I need. You can upload quizzes. You can have little exercises, and I will show you in a second how that looks like. And it was really gold, because now all my good intentions I was able to implement those. And I've run a survey just a couple of weeks ago after implementing CuraCloud for the first time again after many years. And student rated CuraCloud highly effective. All the topics I was interested, how it was able to reduce their cognitive overload or increase their retention. Look at these numbers. 93% said, with CuraCloud, we could really break down the complex content into small steps. We could improve retention, and we could clarify relationships. It supported the diverse learners very, very effectively, all in the 95 and 93%. And it was a very active way of learning. Overall, it improved the engagement and the confidence level of our students. And I want to show you how that looks like. I hope got it. Yep. I think I got it. Thank you. So this is the platform as looked as in a student view. And within a very short time, I was able to produce 8 of those lessons. It took me a couple of weeks. Luckily, you have collaborators, okay? Using CuraCloud, beautiful thing is you have a lot of people from different medical backgrounds or different veterinary schools who might have done similar lessons, and you take them, 50% is pre-designed, and you ask them, can I please use it and adapt it to what I need? And usually we say yes. We know we have not enough time to create things from scratch. So it is a very, very beautiful network of academics, and we're all very happy to share. And within a short time, I was able to produce lessons, quite large lessons, where I put all my lecture content in form of summaries. I called them general concepts at first to begin with. Then I was able to have all my videos as pre-prac work on here. And then stepping into the practical part, students would use the same software in the practicals to do all their exercises. And the post-work or assessment questions will lead into the major assessments at the end of the semester. You can actually have example questions with instant feedback. So a lot of students used to come to me, can you read my answers and say if it's right or wrong, or if it's good and bad? And I say, well, I'll give you a lot of different answers, what would be a credit or a high distinction answer for this question, it really reduced my workload. Okay. And maybe showing you an exercise you can do. Oh, it's not loading. You can do very nice little interactive exercises here. You can load up different histological structures with explanations. In general, it is good fun. You can also connect this platform to external microscopy, Iphoria. So you don't have to load it all up in here, but you can connect to other softwares. And in general, it just students learn very independently. They don't really need me to be actively or for them passively learn any longer. They got this platform and are very self-reliant all of a sudden, right? So good for me. I don't need to repeat myself 100 times because every student got the same standard answers here. The quizzes are very engaging. And that's, yeah, the response rate talks for itself. And I'm very happy to talk you through how I got access to the license and how to use that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Carolyn. I think we have time for one question for Carolyn. Is there a question? Yeah.
Are you still using Canvas on top of this, or is this replacing Canvas?
That's all pretty much lecture slides and then a link to LT. Canvas used to be, thank you. Canvas used to look quite chaotic with so many different documents that I have for all the activities. Now having it all here, it just makes the life of students easier. They have to manage one maybe lecture deck and concept of 10 different Word documents on top. And I think when Canvas went down last semester, we were the only group who was able to work. Yes, it was good. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Oh, Pauline's got a quick question.
No. Carolyn, I know the students really struggle with this unit. Like, this is the horror unit that everybody talks about behind. Is it still like this? Is it the horror? No.
I thank you for asking that question because it was. And that's why I took on the mission. I mean, now from last year it was 3.8, the USS score. In 1 year, we went to 4.3. Yes, I think we made a difference. Thank you.
That's outstanding. Thank you, Carolyn.